This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of having gold medalist, silver medalist, entrepreneur, chief brand officer of Eat the Frog, Bryan Clay. Welcome finally to your first Halo Talks.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. So we've been tracking your progress, and we talked, at the onset of COVID, and you guys have, made it through to the other side, as we like to say. Just barely, like everyone else, right?
Yeah.
With the waiting on that PPP loan. Thank God that came in. And the EIDL and the ERC credit. Thank you.
Exactly.
Uncle Samuel. I actually have an Uncle Sam, but he wasn't as generous. So why don't you tell people, what your background is on the sports and fitness and track and field side, as well as, what brought you to become an entrepreneur and partner up with the guys that you have. And we'll talk about where Eat the Frog's going.
Yeah. So I grew up in Hawaii. I was a real active kid, got into a lot of trouble. As I was doing that, somebody told my mom, hey, listen, you need to get Bryan involved in sports. And my mom, just knowing who I was like, no team sports. He can't play team sports. He's just going to get into fights all day.
Oh, wow.
It's not going to work. And so she said, you can do track and field or swim. And that's because they were two individual sports. I couldn't touch anybody else. I had to stay in a lane, which she really liked.
How old were you at this time, by the way?
I was probably in about 6th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
so you knew better, but you decided this is how I'm going to roll.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So you're swimming and you're running by yourself with
there was some stuff going on in my life that, things were a little chaotic, right? Like my parents were getting divorced. There was a lot of physical and verbal and drug abuse and all that kind of stuff. So it was a crazy time in my life. But anyways, through all of that, my mom said, you can do track and field or swim. I always tell people I was deathly afraid of wearing Speedos. So I chose track and field. That was the beginning of my career. And from that point on, as I started to run, I fell in love with running more and more and more. And I got better and better and better. And by the time I got into high school, the track, what I tell everybody is the track became my sanctuary. I don't know if you've seen the movie Chariots of Fire, but,
of course,
Eric Liddell in that movie has a quote that he says, when I run, I feel God's pleasure. Right. And that's what it was for me. It's like when I ran, it just felt right. I was in control of my space. I knew what to expect. I knew if I was going to do well because I put in the work. I knew I was going to do not well because I didn't put in the work. Like there was always this kind of like every action has an opposite and equal reaction, right? Like that was the space that I was in. And so it felt good. And so you can imagine as that felt good, I continued to go more and more and more towards track and trying to get better and better and better. And that led me to a Fulbright scholarship at Azusa Pacific University, which then led me to my first Olympics in 2004. My first Olympic medal in 2004, onto a few world championships, a few US championships, and then of course the 2008 gold medal in Beijing in the decathalon, and just a really amazing career. And I had a blast, and now I've moved into entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So when you take a look back at, you say, in control of my space, which I think is like a really interesting set of words, because when you go into entrepreneurship, you're not in control of many things, right? Nope. So how did you kind of gain control of it, or how have you learned to deal with it?
Yeah, I would say one of the hardest things about going from professional athlete to entrepreneurship is this idea that when you're a professional athlete, everything revolves around you, right? So it's like, if I need to get better, like I have to put in the time, I fix it. I become, obsessive about the technique until I have it perfect. I can skip lunch. I can respond immediately, do all those types of things. And there's a certain intensity that you train with. And, there's a certain amount of grit that you have to have, and just tenacity and drive and focus, all those types of things. And when I moved into entrepreneurship, it was the complete opposite. Right. It was like, in the beginning, I could do it all. My business partner and I could do it all. And that was fine. But as you grow, you can't. And so you have to bring on team members that can help you. And that was a new world for me. It's still kind of a new world that I have to learn, right? Because it's personalities and people and all that kind of stuff. And so the hardest thing was realizing that people don't operate the same way I do. or the same way I did. I can sometimes be a little intense. Sometimes I don't listen.
No, come on.
Sometimes I don't listen maybe as much as people would like me to. I can be a little, as matter of fact about things. And so those are the types of things. I can get a little frustrated when I don't get an email response, that day, and it comes 2 or 3 days later. And I'm like, wait a second, like, what do you mean? Like, why does it take so long to respond to an email?
Sure.
So those areas I think have been difficult for me, but I think as you grow up, as you mature, as you enter into relationships, and you have people who you hire and that are part of your team that you can be honest with, and you can have great conversations with. They feel safe. They feel heard. They can tell you things about yourself, not maybe like specifically where they come out and say, listen, you suck, right? But in the way that they react, right? They'll react certain ways. They'll say certain things. You'll see them shut down. You'll see those types of things. And as an owner, as a founder, I have to be, attentive to that. I have to be able to see that, read it, and say, oh, shoot, something's not working here. And that just happened over time. You mature, you learn, people get mad at you, and you find out why. And you're like, man, you have employees quit, and you go, oh crap, like I should have handled that a little better. Next time, here's what I'm going to do. But ultimately it was relinquishing control. Yeah. It was realizing that I can't control every aspect of everything, and I've got to trust people to do what I hired them to do.
I mean, there's some interesting things to make, some observations that I think might be important for you to know about yourself that I'm listening to, but also for our audience here that are running clubs or running franchises. Like, you're actually the perfect person to create a franchisor model and a prototype, because like you're so critical of like every step that you take, or
right,
this lighting should be here, or this will optimize this part of it, or
right,
here's like the experience, and I want to replicate that experience. So the best franchisors, I always bring this up about the guys at Orange Theory, that I'm super impressed with how they've run their operation. They had four out of the 5 locations they started with were losing money, and they basically went in and said, like, okay, what's the special sauce here? How do I figure this thing out? And then how does the technology fit in? How does the sales and marketing fit in? And that becomes, when somebody's in franchising, people think, oh, like they created this brand. No, they created like an operating system. And you're paying them 6% or 8% or whatever the number is to do 2 things. One, they probably got 20 people at corporate. That costs $1 million. You're basically renting their overhead for like $60,000. Right?
Yep.
And hiring those people. The second thing is, like, they actually have done the work to figure out, like, oh, here's a profitable business model, and I'm going to let you use it, right? Yeah. I'm basically going to hand you my playbook, or like my Olympic, roadmap, and I'm going to let you use it. What's interesting about where you're at is, you have the ability to do that, and then you've got people downstream that replicate it. And it's almost like up to you to control what you can't control and teach them how to do it. And then it's like you actually cloned yourself.
Right. And I think it's, one of the things that I've learned through my experience is the more I, like, for example, for me, operations was a new space, right? I had never like operated a studio, a gym. And so what I had to do was I always talk about this, become a student of my sport, right? Like, I had to study it. I had to understand it. And not just from a books side of things, but I had to like get in and actually become an operator so that I understood what my team and what my franchisees were going through. And so I've spent some time doing that. We have a location out here that's about 10 minutes from my house. And I literally will go in almost every day if I can. And I'm an operator. I go in.
You got to live it. You got to live it.
I sign people up. I get into the computer, I get into our CRM, I work through it, I refund people, I'm answering questions for people when they want to know about the training and how it works and all that. I go to events and sell and talk to people about it. But then I also have to wear the founder hat, and I've got to be able to speak to investors, and I've got to be able to talk to them about, the things that matter to them that maybe don't matter to a member. But so I have to wear both hats a little bit, but I think that's part of, my job, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy learning about it. And I never think that there's ever a point where I know everything, right? Like I always try to keep the mindset that I don't know anything. Like, I mean, I have things that I love and that I'm passionate about, and I can talk about forever, but by no means am I an expert in all of it. And so I just try to keep that mindset as I'm having these conversations, and I'm always trying to learn. And the only way you can learn is by getting your hands dirty, getting in it, and doing it.
Yeah. Well, you got to join us we just set up our new Halo Academy for September. So we go through 5 case studies, 2 hours on Planet Fitness, Soul Cycle, CrossFit, Peloton, Cycle for Survival. You'd love that. It's like, just basically like what's the special sauce of each one of these companies and how they figure it out, and what does it mean, and how they scale it. Mm-hmm. When you take a look at, a discovery day, with Eat the Frog on a franchise and a franchise disclosure document or licensing, people want to be affiliated with winners, right? I don't want to go play. I don't want to get drafted by, the worst team in the Premier League and, get relegated, right? I want to go and play for Man U as goalie, and I'm only 50, right? So, I mean, I'm still going to keep my options open. You know what I mean? So, point is, like, how much do you kind of put it out there? Obviously, you've got a lot of humility. You understand, like, hey, I'm a franchisor now, so I'm like here to support you. But at the same time, I'm kind of here also to lead you to the finish line. So I kind of got to be on both sides of this. So how much do you say, like, hey, look, I'm an Olympic, gold medalist. Like, go find somebody else that has that kind of drive that's running a business in the fitness industry. And I did that on my own. Now I got a team. Like, hop on board.
Right. I mean, we try to play that up as much as we can. Of course, I personally don't like playing it up. If it was up to me, I would be in the background. Nobody would even know. Right. But I do have a business partner, and I do have a team who are like, Bryan, listen, you got to understand, like, this is something special. This is something that we have to bring up, because you just don't get it in other companies. I mean, we pride ourselves. You've talked to myself and Joe, my co-founder, and all those types of things. We really do pride ourselves in being honest. I mean, we have a set of morals and values at our company that I think come before the business, and it really is what drives, I think, our decision making. And honesty is a big part of not just who we are as people, but who we are as a company. And it's a part of the product that we actually put out for our members. And one of the things that we want people to know is that when they come work out at Eat the Frog, they're going to get an honest workout. We're not gonna sugarcoat it. We're not gonna say, oh, fitness is so easy, 30 or 11 minutes here, take this pill, just drink this shake. Like, I've been doing this my whole life. Like, I know this space. I know what works. I may not have a doctorate in those types of things, but I can tell you from the real world, like, training at the highest levels there are, traveling the world, seeing the best doctors, the best trainers, the best nutritionists, all those types of things, that it's not easy. And that's one of the things that I think, we talk about the special sauce. One of the things I think what we do well is we make fitness simple, right? Yeah. It's always going to be hard. We make it really simple. And the way that we do that is by not lying to you and trying to come up with some way that you're going to lose weight fast, but talking to you about what really works, right? How do you become fit? How do you improve and be successful at your fitness model? And we have that honest conversation. Our workouts, we love to say that are designed with science behind them. And we look at, how do athletes train? Why do athletes train that way? And what are the things that we can grab from what the best in the world does and distill down and bring in and make available to the average everyday person. And that's what we've done in our brand. And that's what, we pride ourselves on. I think we've done a really good job at that.
So, as you think about the next steps, in the evolution of boutique fitness, you got a lot of content. You got a lot of operating manuals. You got trainers, and you've got large health clubs, middle market health clubs that are saying, you know what, like, I'm not going to be able to hire the best boutique fitness instructor and keep him or her there. Yeah. When I just go and franchise a brand, have like a box within my box that has their own special sauce to it, and do a revenue share instead of trying to, pound your chest. They're like, oh, I only pay my, hit instructor $45. I'm like, yeah, right. But you make like $20 a class. So like you lost $25, so how do you kind of position this and say, look, it's a standalone business. It's inside. I can license it. I can give you content. How are you making it more accessible where you don't have to say no? Because the franchisor has to say no probably 95% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, we look at, so first of all, my opinion, my business partner's opinion of the fitness industry is that where it's going is somewhere different than what maybe we've been used to. And I really believe that, we talk about our brick and mortar plus and strategy. Our brick and mortar plus strategy is simply, we don't believe brick and mortar is going anywhere. We absolutely believe that on what we call plus is fit tech. And it's going to be the combination of that. So our goal, like I said, is to make fitness simple. But the only way that we can do that is by incorporating the best technology that's out there. When I was training, this is the story that we always tell people. When I was training, my life was designed around my fitness regimen. And that made it very easy. Everything I did, everyone I talked to, all the decisions that I made, it was all designed around being successful at my fitness regimen. Mm-hmm. For when I became dad, entrepreneur, husband, that just normal guy, right? My life was no longer designed around fitness. And you know what I figured out? It's really hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard to like make fitness work. And so I saw that problem. I talked to my co-founder, Joe, and we looked at that and we felt like we could have a product that would be better. But we had to address some things that were going on. Like we had to make it accessible, right? So our studios are 24 hours a day. So the technology that we use allows us to run, training sessions where people can do it as a group, and some people can sometimes come in and do it by themselves, right? But we run training sessions that are led by an animation on the screen 24 hours a day, on the hour, every hour. There's a session going. Doesn't matter. You want to come in at 3 a.m., you can come in at 3 a.m. and get a workout. In fact, we actually have a member that comes in at 3 a.m. to get his workout in. And so that's what we've done. And we've taken all of the things that can be handled by technology, and we've started to use technology to take care of all those things, so that if there is a live coach or you do have a staff member that wants to go in and kind of hype up the experience, that can be done, but that's their sole job, is just hyping up the experience, right? It's just connecting with people as opposed to having to be the coach, because the coach in the room is the screen. We have the music baked into our files. We have the heart rate and all that kind of stuff dialed in. All of our equipment can be adjusted for your fitness level. And so it really becomes this personalized workout within maybe sometimes a larger group setting, because everything that you're doing is designed specifically for where you're at. And that's one of the things that we love, and why we think we can fit so well inside of a big box, is because you can literally take what we do and you can put it in space that you already have, and have a system that runs 24 hours a day, that doesn't require a coach in the room unless you want to have a coach there. It's something that people enjoy, they like. I mean, it's literally what we say is, we're honest. You come in, you have an honest workout. We make it simple. You don't have to think. You don't have to do anything. We tell you everything that you need to do. And all you need to do is show up. If you just show up, you'll be successful.
I hate when there's a football game on and they're like, this guy didn't show up today. The play's like, no, that's actually the only thing he did do was show up. Yeah. And then he stunk up the field, but he did show up.
Right.
So Eat the Frog, I believe, Mark Twain is, eat a live frog in the morning, and then like the rest of your day, nothing really bad. Worse is going to happen than that. So you're running 24-hour workouts. You're basically doing HIIT workouts. How important is it for you as an entrepreneur to have competition? Because you've been competing with people all your life. So some people might say like, oh, F45's, got this, and Orange Theory's got that, and there's the other guys that are streaming and they're going in, Les Mills doing this and that. How is your mindset like to bring it, dude? I've been doing this since I was like in 6th grade. It's actually just going to make me faster and better. Or do you say like, oh, well, this is copycats and like contaminating the market and pricing? How did someone like you think about competition?
I've never been afraid of competition. I think the reason why I'm not afraid of competition is because when you do your homework, right? Like when you know your space, when you know what works and what doesn't work, there's nothing to be afraid of. When I was competing, I would look at other people, and there were people that were taking steroids, right? And cheating to get to the top. There were people that would find shortcuts or find ways to try to like, work the system and all that kind of stuff. And you've got to be, when you see that as an athlete, you have to be confident enough in your system and your training and what you do and why it works, that you look at that and it's just noise, right? You look at that and you go, you know what, those are just distractions. Yeah, they're doing great. And there might be things to learn from what they're doing, right? Like you might see things and you might go, listen, they did this or they did that, and that's really cool. And I want to look at that and I want to figure out how to put that into mind. But they're doing things also that don't work, or that create risk for them, or that, put holes in their system. And so you've got to look at those things and you've got to learn from those things as well, right? And so what we did, and what I like to do, is I like to look at everybody that's come before us. I mean, I did this in sports. I looked at all of the decathletes. I know all the decathletes that came before me, right? That won the gold medal before me. I knew all the scores, how high you had to score on average, and what we knew was going to take to win a gold, right? Years before. I mean, I looked at how they trained. I looked at their equipment. I looked at who their coaches were. I knew what they scored and how they scored it, and what the events, their times were in the events, or the distances were in their events, and whether it was raining or what. I mean, I knew all that stuff, right? Because I needed to know it. And we did the same thing with the fitness industry. We came in and we said, hey, listen, who's here? And at the time when we first started, it was like Zumba, CrossFit was on the market. They were really starting to push and come on strong. You had, some cycling and different things. Orange Theory was on the scene, but not really on the scene yet. They were still pretty small. They hadn't really expanded. And so we actually didn't know about Orange Theory when we first started. And that's when we ended up finding out about them. But all that to say, we looked at the space that we were in, and we said, okay, where are the holes? What are the things that we think we can change? And what are the things that we feel like need to change in order to provide the product that we want to provide, which is an honest product? Because again, we talk about this all the time. When I looked at the fitness industry, what I saw was a one size fits all industry, right? I saw people who entered into the fitness industry and were always like, hey, I want to lose weight, or I have this goal. I want to run a 5K, or I want to do this. I want to just live and be healthier. And what the industry was telling them, especially the group fitness industry, was, listen, everybody just come to our studios, do our one workout of the day, right? Which is just a randomized workout that they just decided to make you burn as many calories as they can for that one day. And if you all do that workout of the day, all at the same effort, which is just balls to the wall, as hard as you can go, burn as many calories as you can, get as sore as you can, so that it feels like you got a really good workout, you'll all be successful. You'll all reach your fitness goals. And I'm sitting here as an athlete who does this day in and day out to become the best in the world, right? Not the best in my gym, not the best in my city or my state, right? Not even the best in my country. I want it to be the best in the world, right? Like only one person gets to say that, right? And in order
that's awesome, man. Congratulations on making that happen.
Thank you. But in order to do that, I couldn't just do what everybody else was doing, right? I couldn't just look at and go, wake up one day and go, you know what? I think I'm just going to go for a run today, right? Or I think I'm just going to go squat 500 pounds until I can't walk anymore, right? I'm going to do as many cleans as I can do until I just can't do them anymore, right? I'm just going to run as far as I can. Like, that's not how we trained, right? I didn't look at somebody that was training for a marathon and go, I want to win the gold medal in the decathlon, but I'm going to do what that marathoner's doing, right? Like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't even look at what another decathlete was doing and go, you know what? They're a gold medalist in the decathlon. I'm just going to do exactly what they do, right? I had to look at who I was. I had to take all that information in from training, bring it to the table, and then look at who I was, what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, the type of athlete that I was, my lifestyle, my personality, my values. I had to bring all that to the table, and I had to create a training plan that was going to work for me, right? That was going to help me become successful. And that's what we do at Eat the Frog. That's what makes us different. That's why we're so passionate and so bullish about who we are and what we do. It's because we believe that if you want to be successful at fitness, then we're the brand for you, because we don't do all of those other things, and we've addressed all those things, and we're getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I think Dave and I talk about this all the time, but somewhere the fitness industry lost themselves in understanding that we're here to give you results, And if you get results, you're going to stay and you're going to tell people. Like, no one stays around a pool and be like, hey, what Netflix did you see? What movie did you go to? What was your Vegas trip? They're like, hey, man, you look awesome. How did you do that? Right? That's the conversation. And that's where you need your brand in that narrative. And you actually have to care about results. And if you can get it from people, they're there, dude. That's the business.
Yeah, we are in a business of service, right? Like, our goal is to serve our members. And that's something, again, I talk about being honest. I talk about our values and our morals. Listen, making money is something we want to do. There's no doubt about it. We're in this world because we need to make money. I've got a family, my co-founder, my business partner has a family. Our employees all have families, and we all want to support our families and do all that kind of stuff. But I don't think you have to take shortcuts or compromise your values to make that money, right? I think if you do it right, and I think there are a number of companies out there that have proven this, right? I mean, there's a reason why Chick-fil-A, makes the kind of revenue that they make, at every one of their locations, and there's a line out the door and back and around the block, and all that kind of stuff. It's not because they're like everybody else. It's because they're a company that decided they were going to stick to their values. Whether you agree with those values or not, is not up for question. It's just that they stuck to their values and they built a company around what they believe. And a lot of companies do that. And we believe, at Eat the Frog, is we stick to our values. We're going to create a product that people just can't deny is better than everything else out there. And that's what we're trying to do. And so, as we move forward, we've got, where we are currently, we know where we're trying to go. I think it's going to be really fun and exciting as the future and technologies get better and better and better. And now we're opening up, I think, for us, phase 2 of our kind of growth. And I was explaining to you earlier that that's the technology side of things. And we're really looking to break down the 4 walls of the studio and bring technology in so that we can create what we call an omni fitness experience, right? This the idea of omni being like universal, all encompassing. So we want you to be able to have a fitness experience that was similar to what I had, because we know that when fitness is a part of your lifestyle and not this segmented, part of your life that you tap into every once in a while, but it, sits off, off to the side, we know that you're going to be more successful. And so how do we do that? You can't do that if it's only in the 4 walls of the studio, if you're confined by the 4 walls of your gym, right? The only way to do that is to blow those walls down and to get integrated into the life of your members. And that's what we're on the path of making happen now. That's why we believe that we're such a great solution for big box. That's why we're happy to license our workouts and our training plans and those types of things to big box or to YMCAs or to whoever it is that wants to license it, because we know that we can do that. And through technology, we can still create this amazing fitness experience for those people and those members, no matter where they are, right? They don't have to be in the studio. We can do it anywhere.
Great. Well, man, thanks for coming on. It's great to reconnect. Love to see if we can help you get Eat the Frog in other locations across the country, across the world. Decathalon has 10 events. I think you've won the first 3 to 4. So, we'd advocate for people to hop on board, learn more about what you're doing. And, love how you articulate the business and, control the controllables, and the more you can make controlled, the better your business model is. And your training plan kind of sounds like a business plan to me, which is, a nice parlay into what you're doing now. So thanks for coming into the industry, man. Like, you could have been selling something else, or doing, speaking events, but we welcome you to the Halo sector with open arms, and look forward to meeting up in person. And, we'll post everything up on the site here related to how to contact you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a blast. And of course, we always want people to join the team. We call it our Frog Squad. So, we always want people to join the Frog Squad. We really do want to change the industry. We really want to bring a more honest, simple product to the market that really improves the lives of our members. And I think that we can do that. We just hope that people want to be a part of it.
All right. So I do this with my nephew. I do 1, 2, 3, and then we do hard work. Okay. Like a very deep voice. So we'll do that together here to end the show. Right. 1, 2, 3. Hard work. All right, baby. All right, man. See you soon.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Take care.